When you said that you never spoke the word conversions in front of a client from a performance standpoint, and there's been a number of other presentations you've given about how you work with clients, and that you just don't showcase just the winning lead generation techniques, and it does have a tie into brand consistency. Tell me about how you present success to your clients as they are working with you, as they've bought into your strategies, as you are working in all the different mediums. How do you present true success for a client where you're avoiding the word conversion?
Well, I think if we're doing a really great job, the client knows the success is happening,
Right.
without us
Right.
needing to present it
Absolutely.
to them, right? They'll email and say, "Wow, I got all these new phone calls, and I'm sure it's from you," before I get the report, right? But a lot of it is talking to the client about what they prefer as well. Some clients are already Google Analytics wizards, and they don't need
Oh,
us to
wow.
make a fancy report for them. Other clients like just this is the one metric I care about. Tell me about this. And they don't say metric. They say, my most important thing is I want to make sure that I'm getting sales.
Right.
So we say, all right, so what's your CRM? How can we report back on sales as a result of different channels? And really thinking about the steps that we need to take now before we do anything to make sure it's set up correctly. Not just thinking about analytics when it's time for the report, but thinking about analytics before you even do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you start any marketing whatsoever, right? And other clients don't actually know. So we'll say, well, show us what reports you've done in the past, and thinking about why, and asking them, when you gave this to your CEO or your boss, why was this? Is there something that we can do to help educate them on why you shouldn't be tracking likes as your primary metric of success on Facebook, for example? We don't get
Right.
that as much anymore, but we certainly used to several years ago. And really trying to figure out what is going to show the most success for the client. So, for example, one of our clients is a convention center, and one of their success metrics is showing the amount of money that they've brought into the city by having concerts and conventions and meetings happen at their facility. So they have a formula on how they calculate that, but what they want to know is how much of that can be attributed to digital channels versus their offline marketing that they do. And they're slowly pulling back in their offline marketing and pushing more to digital, but they've never had a CRM in place. So it's looking at it and saying, okay, so we know that these were submitted leads, but we don't know what happened to the leads once they got into the system. So it is actually some manual work to figure out who were these leads? Did they sell? Okay, great. That one was from AdWords. Okay. And it was from this specific keyword.
Right.
Or this one was a display ad, or this one. And because they deal with not a lot of volume, you can manually go back and do that. And that's something their marketing department works a lot on. And with other clients, we've worked with home builders, for example, who say, we do radio and we do billboards and we do digital, and how are we going to track this?
Mhm.
Because sometimes people just go to a show home. Okay, well, let's track the number of people who walk into the show home as a percentage of web traffic, and see if you get more web traffic, does that continue to be, let's say, always 5%?
Mm-hmm.
So, you have like 1,000 people come to the website in a week, you have 50 people come to the show home in a week, right? Does that go up at the same percentage? Does that always have the same ratio? And it did, which was great. It was a theory we were testing out with the client, but also being honest with the client and saying, all right, let's figure this out together. Let's figure out a way that we're going to make these stats make sense for you, and really being open to new opportunities and new ways of reporting that aren't necessarily, we use dashboards. We use a product called Dash This for dashboards. We like it. We use Rival IQ quite a bit for social reporting. Rival IQ is amazing,
Yes,
and their Google Analytics integration is just getting better and better. And also Rival IQ are really great people. Steph is awesome. If you ever have product suggestions,
Yep.
everyone email him now. But I think with Rival particularly, they've got great export options, but we're not just going to by default send a landscape export to a client and say, here you go, here's your report. You have to provide context. And I think that that's something that, and I talked about it in that MozCon presentation from a couple of years ago. Yeah, your reporting is going to have to be a little bit manual. And a lot of people who are very focused on volume were like, oh, it's terrible. I talked to some people after that talk who are like, we're never going to do that. It's like, all right, well, that's cool. That's your brand.
But
so go ahead and do that.
But it does represent some of the same principles that we're talking about here, is that marketing is hard work, and getting a buy-in on a report, you have to work with the client and correlate. You have to
Yep.
get them to buy into what you're going to be reporting on a regular basis so you can sew that together. Otherwise, you're not talking their native language. You
Yeah,
can certainly
and
pull
really
in
at the end of
data.
this,
Yeah,
and at the end of this, it's not our report, it's the client's report, right? And
exactly.
it's not our leads and our sales, it's their leads and their sales. So what language do they use? How do they describe that?
Absolutely.
Maybe they use the word conversion. Cool, then we can talk about conversions, but most of them don't.
Right.
And so how are you going to describe that? Don't make them speak your language because that's what you're comfortable with,
Yep.
right?
No.
Speak in the language that works for the client.